Welcome to Investment Insights from Perch Wealth, your ultimate guide to smart real estate investment and achieving your financial goals. Your host, Ehud Gersten, is a renowned expert and the founder of Perch Wealth. His team specializes in 1031 exchanges and breaks down complex concepts into digestible strategies for financial independence. Dive deep into the world of investment, from the intricacies of 1031 exchanges to expert insights on real estate investments.
Hi, I'm Ehud Gersten. Let's get into it. So you've sold, or you're considering selling, your investment property, and you've decided to do a 1031 exchange. According to the Internal Revenue Code 1031, anyone selling their investment property has 45 calendar days to identify the replacement property or properties. But do you understand the options and rules governing the 45 days? While you will need to identify the new property or properties to your accommodator or qualified intermediary during the 45 days, they do not need to be under contract as of yet. The 45 days countdown begins after the close of the property that you just sold. You have a total of 180 days since close of your relinquished property to close on the new property or properties you identified. One of the reasons many people choose to utilize Perch Wealth's DST platform is because some find the 1031 identification process potentially much easier and simpler to comply with in regard to their investment property exchange. So what are the various options available to investors when identifying? Let's look at the 3-property rule. Under the 3-property rule, the investor taxpayer can identify up to 3 properties, regardless of the fair market value of the properties. You do not have to acquire all 3 of the properties that you identify if you utilize this rule, but you will need to close on at least one of the properties. If you are intending to diversify your real estate investment dollars, for example by investing in DSTs, and want to identify more than 3 possible investments, then you will choose to not rely upon the 3-property rule. Now let's look at the 200% rule. Pursuant to the 200% rule, a 1031 exchange investor may identify and close on any number of properties so long as the aggregate fair market value of the properties identified during the 45 days does not exceed 200% of the aggregate fair market value of the relinquished property when it was sold. For example, if you sold your property for $1 million, you could then identify as many properties as you wish, so long as the fair market value of those identified does not exceed $2 million. Let's examine the 95% rule. If an investor finds him or herself in need to identify more than 3 properties and more than 200% of the aggregate value, as noted in the options above, then that investor can rely upon the 95% rule. But be careful, because it is challenging to comply with the 95% rule, since it requires the investor to close on at least 95% of the properties that were identified. Since it is practically difficult to satisfy the 95% rule, virtually all investors will normally fall within the 3-property or 200% rules noted above. So what information do you need to provide to your accommodator/qualified intermediary, otherwise known as QI? You can provide the street address, assessor's parcel number, and/or legal description to your QI. Make sure this is accurate. Be as specific and unambiguous as possible. Remember to pay close attention to the above rules, because if you do not, your exchange could potentially be disallowed by the IRS and/or state tax agency if you are audited. Early planning is important, so beginning to think about your DST replacement properties before you sell your relinquished property can really help in possibly lowering any stress often associated with complying with the 1031 exchange rules. Work with an experienced and knowledgeable qualified intermediary, as well as a DST investment firm that is readily familiar and knowledgeable with how to guide you through this process. The advisors at Perch Wealth can help you with your 1031 exchange. By utilizing and investing in the DST structure, Perch Wealth can potentially help ensure that your 45 days ID period goes smoothly and efficiently. Thank you for listening.
The following are the real estate and 1031 risk disclosures. There's no guarantee any strategy will be successful or achieve investment objectives. All real estate investments have the potential to lose value during the life of the investments. The income stream and depreciation schedule for any investment property may affect the property owner's income bracket and/or tax status. An unfavorable tax ruling may cancel deferral of capital gains and result in immediate tax liabilities. All financed real estate investments have potential for foreclosure. These 1031 exchanges are offered through private placement offerings and are illiquid securities. There is no secondary market for these investments. If a property unexpectedly loses tenants or sustains substantial damage, there is potential for suspension of cash flow distributions. Costs associated with the transaction may impact investors' returns and may outweigh the tax benefits. Tax benefits are not guaranteed and are subject to changes in the tax code.